Happy New Year! Welcome to the Bézier Games YouTube channel. My name's Bernardo. I am the marketing manager of Bézier Games. This year, we have a whole line of content talking about developing games, how to pitch a game to a publisher, development, and a whole bunch of other industry secrets that we would like to share with you over the course of the year. Our first video of the year will be a compilation of my 25 favorite Bézier games. If you don't follow us on social media, this came out in lots of different short forms across Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky, as well as here on YouTube. This video is a compilation of all those short form videos into one. So grab some popcorn, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Hi, I'm Jay, the new marketing manager for Bézier Games. That's right, the Werewolf company. Over the last year, I've played every single game from the Bézier Games catalog. And this month, I'm ranking my favorite 25 games from Bézier. Number 25, Sink or Swim. Now, Sink or Swim is a real-time cooperative game about synchronized swimming. Each player is a different member of the synchronized team, and there is a team captain. The game will consist of 5 rounds, and each round, it escalates, getting harder and harder and harder. And that's one of the 4 things that I really like about Sink or Swim. The first one is that it ramps up. The second thing I really like about Sink or Swim is the app. The app is ultra clean, very intuitive, and I love that it also gives you a score when you complete the game, and it even breaks down the score into all sorts of different rankings. The third thing I really like about Sink or Swim is that it also solves the alpha player or the quarterbacking that is often plagues a lot of cooperative games, and that it solves it by just saying, you are the team captain, you are the alpha player, you tell everyone what to do. But my fourth and favorite thing about Sink or Swim is that as soon as the game is over, it erupts into this loud conversation of chatter. I was like, oh, I almost did this, oh, I had this, and I was going to do this, and I was trying to help you out, but I didn't have the cards.
3, 2, 1.
Scram. Now, the first thing I really like about Scram, it's a team game. There aren't many team games out there, and there definitely needs to be more. And this also explains why it has that weird player count. It's like 2v1, 2v2, and 3v3. There's no 5-player variant in Scram. The other thing I really like about Scram is the artwork. I mean, look at those otters. Adorbs. Scram is based off the classic game of golf. No, not that golf, this golf. It's the same golf that Cabo and Silver are based. Most golf game variants have all the cards face down at the start of the game, whereas Scram has you have 2 cards face up. So as soon as the game begins, you can immediately start interacting with players, even members of your own team. And that's why Scram is my number 24. Number 23, New York Slice. Perhaps no other game in the Bézier Games catalog does theme and mechanics better than New York Slice. The game itself is a pizza box where it opens up like a pizza box. The rule book is a menu, and the scorepad looks like a check. Just every little detail and component of this game really just adds to the overall experience. New York Slice is perhaps the best I Slice You Choose game. One player, the slicer, divides up the pieces, and then everyone else chooses which portion of the pie that they're gonna get. And I love that little wrinkle in the game because it's a standard set collection, but the pepperoni is there for you want to eat because those anchovies are gonna give you negative points, and you gotta keep that nice balance in between. And if you're looking for like one of the best pizza games out there, New York Slice is it. Number 22, The Palace of Mad King Ludwig. The thing I like most about Palace is that you're always invested in other players' turns. And that's because you are collectively building the same palace. You're gonna eventually have to put your tile next to someone else's, and therefore both of you will score points together. And that makes such a great decision space about who to help and when. The other thing I love about Palace is the point economy. And you're gonna score points for having the most even distribution of all the different colors of swans. But they're also the currency in the game. So you're constantly forced to make a trade-off. But I also love the moat that just comes around and just ends the game. Every time I play the game, there's a race for someone to kind of build this little section of the palace right before the moat comes and cuts them off. Collective point scoring, a collective map, players are building together, a really tight victory point economy, and a beautiful end game scoring mechanism is what I like Palace of Mad King Ludwig. Number 21, Ultimate Werewolf. Unlike every other game on this list, Ultimate Werewolf is the only lifestyle game. People who love this game love this game. There's just something so fascinating about exploring the space of an informed minority and an uninformed majority. Now, Ultimate Werewolf Extreme has a lot of really cool enhancements over the werewolf system. One are the QR codes that are on all the cards. So the moderator just uses their phone, uses the app, he's able to scan the cards and identify all the apps, and you're able to remember who's who throughout the course of the game. The app is beautiful that way. But perhaps the best thing about Ultimate Werewolf is that at the end of every game, there is an eruption of conversation about who you actually were, what your plan was, and then what you thought throughout the course of the game. Now, people always complain about being eliminated from the game, but I love how once you're eliminated, you kind of sit back, eat your popcorn, and then watch the madness unfold in front of you. Number 20, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Everything you love about Ultimate Werewolf in one night. There's no player elimination, and with that tension risen up with the timer, conversations in the game become super focused.
Time is up. Everyone. 3, 2, 1. Vote!
But One Night Ultimate Werewolf introduced two characters to the Werewolf series that really changed the game. One is the Troublemaker, which allows you to flip characters around, so you don't even know who you are. You might be someone else, and that adds that great level of uncertainty in everything that you say. Next is the Tanner. Are they the werewolf or are they not? Are they just want you to vote for them to X them out or not? Just two characters alone made One Night Ultimate Werewolf my favorite way to play werewolf. Well, almost my favorite way. We'll talk about that one in just a little bit. And with all the expansions, all the different roles, One Night Ultimate Werewolf is a universe for players to explore. Number 19, Search for UAPs. Search for UAP completes the trilogy for the Search for games. You have Search for Planet X, Search for Lost Species, and now Search for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. And if I could use one word to describe this game, magnets. The deduction wheel is really fascinating, and it adds a lot of fuzziness and a little bit giving confusion to the game, making it a little bit more difficult. But I enjoy that complexity. But more than that, it makes the overall deduction puzzle a lot more dynamic. I also really love the race to explore by saying, this place area, I know what this is. Well, some of the time you are 100% sure. Other times you're a little bit 90% sure, but you gotta roll the hard six sometimes. Now, I've seen lots of different games where you find a UAP and you win, and I've also seen people who've identified enough stuff in the sky that they win even though someone else finds the UAP. So if you're looking for a deduction game that brings everything up to the next level, Search for the UAPs is one I'd recommend. Number 18, Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig. I may be the only person out there who thinks that Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig is actually more difficult and heavier than Castles of Mad King Ludwig. And that's because unlike Castles, I don't have to trigger my ability as soon as I build that room. I could bank them and save them all up for one explosive turn later on down the line. And that means that I could build like maybe a third of my castle all in one turn. I also think it's quite fascinating how they went from tile drafting to tile drawing. It makes all the shapes of your castle a lot more dynamic and interesting because your tiles are drawn. And that way you can have more dynamic shapes and sizes. And this is like a perfect Sunday brunch type of game. We're just chilling out, lying out, and just drawing and getting to your nice Zen state. There's a reason why I think Blueprints is probably my favorite drawing game, and that's because it's also the heaviest drawing game I can think of. And that's why Blueprints is my number 18. Number 17, Whistle Stop. There's a lot of things that I love about Whistle Stop. One of the things that I love most is that you are always paying attention when it's someone else's turn. Because even though you don't get to control the tiles that get placed down from other people, all those tiles affect you. Whistle Stop is a game that forces players to make a commitment. Are you gonna go up? Are you gonna go down? And when are you gonna eventually turn left? Because you can't go back. There's no going back in this game. I love how the game allows you to buy upgrades from the other players. How many times have you played an asymmetrical game where one player's power looks so good and you wish that you had that? Well, in this game, you can. But perhaps my favorite thing are the whistles, from which Whistle Stop gets its name. Whistles allow you to break the rules of the game. There are these little avenues to branch off and kind of bend the will of the game to you. And that's why Whistle Stop is my number 17. Number 16, Maglev Metro. We're talking about games with vibes, and Maglev Metro definitely has it with the acrylic tiles that every player has for their tracks. I love how the acrylic tiles just pop on the map, and I also love how no one can block you from where you want to go. The only reason why you lost is you. But perhaps the most fascinating part about Maglev Metro is that it is an engine builder and debuilder. The more and more passengers you deliver and you get to keep, the stronger your engine becomes, but then you can also shift those passengers somewhere else. So maybe you want to move faster, you want to pick up faster, maybe you want to drop off more, maybe you want to build more. And eventually towards the end of the game, you want to shift everything to a set collection, scoring even more points. And I love that fluidity in the engine of the game. But just like other train games out there, the best part of the game is the system. Maglev Metro has 8, when with the upcoming expansion, 14 maps to explore. And that's why Maglev Metro is not only my number 16, but also one of my favorite pick up deliver games ever. Number 15, Sandbag. Do not be fooled by the beautiful, bright, colorful art of Sandbag. This is a vicious game. You are avoiding tricks, but there are a lot of levers for you to pull in this game to help you do that. You have 2 cards laid in front of you, which are your basket, and they're not a part of your hand, but everyone else's basket is a part of yours. One of the ways to avoid taking tricks is taking a card from your hand and swapping it out with a basket card from someone else. Not only is that the card that you played, but also those basket cards control Trump, meaning that Trump is incredibly incredibly fluid in this game. You can play a card into a trick thinking you're perfectly safe, and then someone swaps out a basket card and ruins your day. So this holiday season, if you want to stick it to your family and friends in a very fun and delightful way, Sandbag is one I would strongly recommend. Number 14, Colony. Colony is a game that just seems made for me. Cards, check. Deck building, check. Dice, check. Dice drafting, check. Post-apocalypse, oh yes. A lot of things to like about Colony. I love the dice drafting mechanic as it levels a playing field, meaning that you can have a really cool card that scores really well at 6, but if no one rolls a 6, then you can't draft it. I also love that even though it's a dice drafting game, there are a lot of ways for you to mitigate your die rolls. There are ways for you to bank dice and use them later. In Dominion, it's always a question of, well, what kind of cards do I need to get? I need to get this card, I need to get this card. But Colony asks the question, what do you want to do? Do you want to get a new card or upgrade your old card into something even more awesome? And I really appreciate that choice that that game gives you. And without a doubt, it remains my 14th favorite game from Bézier Games. Number 13, The Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Wait. Is this the original Castles, the Collector's Edition, Colossal Edition, Second Edition? If I had to choose between those four, I have to go with the Second Edition. It is absolutely gorgeous. Now the scoreboard of years past, that's gone. Instead, you get this beautiful, gorgeous Swan Lake scoreboard where your little swan just swims around. There's this psychological aspect to the game. Oh, Kevin wants yellow. Well, I'm gonna make this yellow equal to the amount of money that he has. So if he wants that yellow room,
He's gonna have to pay me for it.
throw in a whole bunch of public and private objectives, and you got yourself a classic game that's gonna really stand the test of time. You get access to all those game trays in the second edition. You can expand it into the expansion, and the expansion will fit into the box. But you also get a gorgeous rule book that's super easy to read. White Castles is my number 13. I think it's easily one of the best tile-laying games ever designed. Number 12. Suburbia. Now, do you mean Suburbia? Do you mean the Collector's Edition? No, I mean the second edition. You get all the gorgeous artwork in the Collector's Edition, but you strip out all the chrome, leaving the game at a much more affordable price point. Now, while I do appreciate the expansions and what they offer into the gameplay, the base game of Suburbia is it's so good. Suburbia is SimCity, the board game. Now, while there have been countless games over the years trying to take that mantle of SimCity, the board game, none really come as close to Suburbia. My favorite thing about Suburbia is that despite all the different layers that go into positioning and where do you place your tiles and all the scoring mechanisms that are at play, the core mechanism of the game is so simple. And I think that's what all the other SimCity board games have truly missed. I do teeter back and forth about which I like more, Castles, Suburbia, but hexagons are the bestagons, and I gotta give the vote to SimCity, the board game, aka Suburbia. Number 11, Xylotar! Now, it maybe seems surprising that Xylotar is all the way up at number 11, but I like card games. Hello! And Xylotar is a musical card game with the notes of deduction. And I love how simple it is. You can teach this game to trick-taker aficionados in 10 seconds. So most of all, a trick-taking game, you can never lead with your highest card. Trump is always red, and Trump doesn't need to be broken. And at one point somewhere in the game, you need to make a bid. I love how you get your opening hand in Xylotar, and you know nothing about it. You know the suits of what you have, you know how much Trump you have, but you also know that this is the highest card and that's the lowest card. And from that alone, you can kind of introduce who has the strongest hand. And I love this group discovery in the game. Layers within layers. That's my favorite thing about Xylotar is the ridiculous story that came with the game. It is the most ridiculous story in all of board gaming. Do you think the bear did it? And that's why Xylotar is my number 11. Number 10. Well, I can't say the title because the game isn't officially announced. This is the sequel to Scram, and I love it even more. Now, while I haven't finished the story of the sequel, my favorite version is that the humans won the victory and pushed the animals away, but unbeknownst to them, these were sacred creatures that kind of kept the balance at bay, and now a hell mouth has opened up at the campsite, and all these horrible things have come out. So now we have the campers versus the horrors of evil. Just imagine all these cute cards from Scram, and now imagine them as horror. Cute little R's, horror otters. Cute little bear, horror bear. Cute little mouse, horror mouse. But it's not just horror versions of those animals. You actually see this. I want to tell you more about this game, but I can't, and it's killing me. Number 9, Silver. Once again, werewolves have infested your little village, and it's your job as mayor to weed them out. There's a lot to love about Silver. I love how it's just draw the card, play the card for its ability, or add it to your village. Now, all the cards in your village are face down, so you will have to deduce throughout the course of the game what the value of each of your cards are. But Silver is the most unique game in the Bézier Games catalog because it's not one game, it's a system. Silver is all about self-expression and mixing and matching those expansions to create your own unique deck. There are billions of combinations. Now, although Silver is number 9 on this list, I have played it more than any other game in the catalog because of the new Silver app. And you can play online with family, friends, strangers, or with AI bots who are just mean. They're just really, really mean. But you don't have to wait to play Silver. Go ahead and download the free app and play it today. And that's my number 9. Number 8, Whistle Mountain. Whistle Mountain is probably our most critically acclaimed board game. It consistently appears on lots of content creators' top 10 or top 100 lists. Tom Vassell rated it his second favorite worker placement game of all time. Of all time. And that's because every single time you play Whistle Mountain, the game is different. Players decide what locations that workers can go to, and they decide where they are. And throughout the course of the game, the valley is being filled with water, removing those locations from the board. So where players put those powerful locations really changes the game. There's just a lot to love about Whistle Mountain. I love the big, bold colors. I love the huge airships. I love how large the decision space is in the game. You throw in the ultra rare expansion and Number 7, Cat in the Box. Cat in the Box. Cat in the Box. Cat in the Box. Cat in the Box is one of my favorite trick-taking games of all time. And every other trick-taking game out there, you're cursing the cards in your hand. Oh, if I had more of this suit, I had less of that suit, then maybe I should have won that hand. In Cat in the Box, all your cards are all the suits and none of the suits. You get to decide, and that little wrinkle blows your mind. But the cutest twist in this story is that Ted Alspach, the CEO of Bézier Games, played Cat in the Box with his mother. She had trouble picking up the little components, so he customized a colossal edition with bigger components so that she can enjoy the game. So Colossal Cat in the Box was born. Colossal Cat in the Box is a game that you never knew you wanted until you play it, and it also comes with the best first player marker in existence. He never goes in the box, he just stays on my desk. You do, yes you do. Number 6, Werewords Deluxe. Werewords is my favorite way to play Werewolf. Now, I personally like social deduction games, and I really love word games. So a game that combines the two together, yes please. Love social deduction, where it ties a discussion to something factual. It's not something you said, your physical appearance, or how you said a certain thing, or some weird gesticulations. Deduction in Werewords is based on your actual question. And the coolest mechanic in this game are the tokens. Players are asking yes or no questions to the mayor to guess a secret word. The mayor can't speak. They can only respond with a yes or no token. By the end of the game, there's a physical track record of every question you asked. You had a lot of yes answers. Are you the seer? You had a lot of no answers. Are you the wolf? But the best thing about this game is the app. Not only does it have suggested word lists to go from easy to ridiculous, you can even add your own custom word list. Don't miss the rest of this countdown. Follow for more. Number 5, Seers Catalog. Seers Catalog is easily the most unique shedding game I have ever played because it's the only shedding game where you don't want to get rid of all your cards. What? Your goal in Seers Catalog is to have as few cards possible when someone else goes out. Do that and you'll score positive points. Have too many cards in your hand and you're gonna score negative points. But I love it when you have 5 cards in your hand, you are in what I call Gandalf mode. You shall not pass! If you can't play a card from your hand, you must. And it adds all this tension to the game as you feel your cards are just sand running through your fingers, hoping that your one lone 13 is gonna score you positive 12 points. And when you can score 12 points, the highest in the game, it's electric. I've seen people stand up and cheer and run around the table. Number 4. Once again, this is another game that I can't talk about because it's in its final stages of development. I call this game the NDA game because this game has more NDAs about it than any other board game in history. And I'm very confident when I say that. So what's this hush hush hullabaloo all about? Well, this NDA game has a lot of everything. There's a rondel, there's worker placement, there's action selection, there's set collection, there's tableau building, there are tracks that you want to move up, and it has a theme that ties all of this together in such a unique way, and that I just can't talk to you about it because even if I just mention it a little bit, just a little bit, it's gonna be way too much. But what I love most about the NDA game is the shut your mouth. Hey man, I'm just talking about NDA. Shh. There's a giant wheel in this game. Number 3. Let's try it again. Number 3 is our next year's Gen Con release, and let me just say, it's a scout killer. This is a shedding game, and I absolutely love it. I played this game with countless other content creators, asking them the same simple question, would you rather play this game or Scouts? And every single person said, I'd rather play this game. Yeah, that's right. I threw that hammer down. But don't forget that 2025 is the year of fear. So expect a little bit of horror to be sprinkled in this game. There's just so much about the pedigree of this game that I absolutely love. The designer is a YouTuber that I know you've heard of. The artist is a huge artist with a huge cult following, and I know that you've heard of her. And the game has been developed by Bézier Games, so you have the designer, artist, development team, and it's gonna be so good. Number 2, Rebel Princess. I have to say that Rebel Princess Deluxe Edition is by far my favorite trick-taking game. There are 26 round cards in this game, and each could be their own unique Japanese trick-taking game. Each one has this wildly unique way of playing trick-taking games, keeping players on their toes for all 5 rounds. And speaking of players, everyone wants a princess. My personal favorite is Mulan, because she's all about throwing another princess under the bus, which you don't want to do, but you don't want to get married either. There's just so much to love about Rebel Princess Deluxe Edition, from the quality of the components, to the insert, to the added round cards, to the extra princesses. But my favorite is that it's the only board game that I know of that has a marriage proposal in the game. I'm waiting for someone to use this game in a marriage proposal, because even though the theme is all about not getting married, I'm a big softy and romantic on the inside. Number 1. That's right. Number 1 is our upcoming Gen Con release, and I can't say anything about it. What I can say is that it is the sequel to Rebel Princess. And by sequel, I do mean that it is a continuation of that story. The princesses rejected the princes, and now you get to see what happens to them afterwards. And oh, it's so good. We begin some of the finalized art for all the cards. Oh, it's so good. I'm gonna give you a little teaser right now. I probably shouldn't have done that. That art is not finalized at all, but oh, I cannot wait to share this with the whole world. Thank you so much for watching this series on my 25 favorite games from Bézier Games. Happy holidays, and I'll see you next year in the Year of Fear. Thanks everyone for watching. Once again, my name's Jay from Bézier Games, and I'll see you in our next video.